He plays the mandolin better than pretty much anybody. He's awesome.
Really?
He was in that band you know for sure, and then he went solo. He was in Nickel Creek.
It's like Nickelback, but better.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the water that runs right through the band. Anyway, here we are, Wednesday, working on shit. What are we working on? What are we doing?
What are we doing? Well, like I said, I drank my coffee outside, listened to Taylor Swift in the morning,
Mhm.
get it popping.
I understand.
Which
A 1989 album or the other ones?
I listened to a bunch. I
Just
started even older.
Oh, okay.
A little You
went to
Belong With Me.
Okay.
I think that's Fearless maybe, or Speak Now. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm bad with the names. The only reason I know 1989 is because I know it.
Which is also a great album.
It like came, and Ryan Adams remade it, so I remember.
I was like so mad that I like it so much.
Dude, you know who's crazy that I watched is she's not crazy, but her artistry is Halsey. She put out a movie. You know Halsey?
Halsey?
Yeah, she's
I don't know a lot of
rad for one, and she's kind of whatever. You're gonna have to do your own thing. I'm not gonna sell her to you, but she made
Halsey.
a new album that just came out, and Trent Reznor helped on it, and it's very not on brand for her. She's normally I don't know, somewhere between a pop and hip hoppy soul singer gal. I don't know how to call her.
Sure.
She does that. And then this is like something totally different, but she made a movie that's a music video to her new album.
Like a thriller style?
It's on HBO and it's mature only. Like it's deep and dark.
Nice.
It's an hour long.
I need some mature stuff.
It's
an actual movie.
It's an actual movie with a little dialogue, all of her songs from the album, and a storyline that's a through line through the whole thing.
I dig it.
Yeah. And
I'm
it's
there
all
for
medieval
it.
setting, and it's shot with like psychotic cinematography, and she wrote it all, and like the storyline, and she plays the lead basically of like this. It's basically about woman power, but also so much artistry. It's psychotic. And then for all you, anyway, there's a lot of surprises in it. That's for sure. She is raw.
Halsey?
Yeah. I mean, if you even just watch that, if you can get through it, I don't know if you love it or not, but if you watch the whole thing start to finish, you'd probably consider her a genius.
I'm into watching these interesting things. I was chilling the other day, and I put on Desperado with Antonio Banderas, and
I saw you post a video of it.
Well, so I watched that, and then that is actually a sequel to another movie called El Mariachi.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same. It's interesting because he didn't play in the first movie El Mariachi. It wasn't Antonio Banderas. It was like a lesser known actor who was actually in Desperado, but as a second character.
Okay.
But that El Mariachi was the first film directed by, I think it's Robert Rodriguez. I might be getting his name wrong. He's the dude who did like From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
And movies that Quentin Tarantino was in but didn't direct, and some other,
Did you watch Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah.
We watched it together probably.
Yeah.
I had it for a long time.
I've watched that. But this one was that one that I posted was his first one, and it's fucking awesome because it's super low budget.
Yeah.
And there's all these crazy weird. So like some of the camera work is done with like this big, like really wide lens, and shots that would usually be framed in with a much, closer lens.
Yeah.
Forcing that person to get like really, really close. So you have all these weird, like dramatic things where the camera's like really close to the actors' faces.
Oh, I get you.
It feels like a really cool home movie that's better than a home movie.
I can see that now that I remember the pictures.
Sick. Yeah. It's
because you
super
could see their
intense.
faces were really close to the screen.
Yeah.
Is what it felt like.
Yeah. It's pretty funny, and the editing's
Interesting.
fucking awesome. That clip that I posted was just fucking way hardcore.
You reminded a few times.
The dude comes in and just shoots up his bar. I don't know.
Got to go to that good shit. Those are old movies. What made you get turned on to looking at that? Was it camera stuff?
It was just more.
Or just happened?
I just wanted to do. I don't know. I was feeling like doing something 90s that was a little different, and
Bold it.
I'm not sure what I'm into right now as far as film and stuff like that. It seems like everything feels a little bit forced and is just a little bit so intense. And I
get that.
I kind of like these storylines that they're just so deep in one genre, and there's not any like I think I was really into superhero movies for the past couple years because all the Marvel
Sure.
stuff's coming out, DC stuff's coming out, but everything's so high stakes. Like every single storyline revolves around the world being on the line.
Sure.
And it's cool to see something where you kind of have this hero character, but he's not really trying to save the world.
Yeah, it's just a story of their time.
It's just him, and maybe he's in like that. El Mariachi is this dude is a wandering mariachi. He's a guitar player. He doesn't have a band. It's just him, and
Right.
his dream is to be a professional mariachi player,
Mm.
which also is sick because of my grandparents. Like every party we ever had, they hired mariachi. Yeah. And even when my grandma's funeral, my cousin Anthony, he's like, "Oh, dude, we hired like the dopest mariachi band, and they're killing it." So I've like mariachi
Just part of your
music is just
gig.
like a part of my vibe,
Uh-huh.
like since I was a kid. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So he wants to be a mariachi, just like his dad and his grandpa, and he like wanders into town with his guitar case. And meanwhile, there's another dude who just gets out of prison
Okay.
who carries like a guitar case, but it's full of guns and shit. And the big boss wants to kill the other guy, and they get their identities confused. So now
perfect.
people are after this other dude,
And he's just a
he has
guitar
to turn-
player.
He has to
But then he
turn
gets
into a
tough.
hero,
Yeah.
like the little hero arc story, and nothing major happens except
Sure.
for
Couple shootouts.
he survives, and then the woman he loved gets killed. So it's kind of
Pretty
tragic,
classic.
but it's not like, oh my god, the fucking multiverse universes
Yeah.
are coming together, and like the world's gonna
not like,
explode.
oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know. It's just fun to relate to and cool to see. Cool to see things where you can just tell a story and not have a ton of money, not have a ton of, all you have is your vision and a few tools.
Right.
And you first start it and you're like, the actors are okay. The writing's
just probably all of it, right?
okay.
Yeah.
But then 15 minutes in, I'm like fully immersed in it. This is awesome. It just feels really
The package comes together.
It just feels really real.
Yeah.
It feels really honest to me, and I like that.
I'm down.
I'm just looking for that honesty.
Just looking for that. No, I get it. There's those transitions that are happening. It's like, what is? Yeah, I feel you. This world is in a really convoluted place right now. It feels a little bit like, yeah. There's a lot of opportunity to be more, see more, do more. I don't know, but it doesn't have to be more in the way that everybody's pitching it. That's, I think.
More. Geez,
it's all relative.
More is kind of more is an illusion. Oh,
yeah,
dude,
it's all relative. More, all more can mean to me is more authentic, right? To me, it's like, what can be more authentic? That's what I'm hearing out of
That's a good
you,
more. Yeah,
you know?
that's a good. That's the kind of the more I'm after. And then part of it is inspired by just, man, blatant nostalgia. I'm on this continual journey of going through these tapes that I mentioned before.
Yeah,
and I just keep focusing on. I keep seeing myself.
Yeah.
At being 18, doing things.
Right.
And it's definitely affecting me. For sure.
Talk to Bob the therapist about it.
I did talk to my therapist about it.
Yeah, good, dude.
Well, I talked about how did I frame it? Oh, well, I kind of framed it in definitely having some sort of lack of confidence in certain things that I do, specifically skating, which has been kind of bugging me. I don't know what it is. I think I'm probably has something to do with these projects that are coming up that we can't really talk about yet, but
sure.
I don't know. I've been feeling really self-conscious about it. And then
are you essentially saying you have imposter syndrome right now?
I don't know if it's imposter syndrome. I think it is more.
Yeah. From the outside looking in, I don't feel like I would feel that way towards you, but
I feel like it's something different. So one of the things that is interesting about watching all that old footage is that I'm seeing things that I totally forgot happened. And in skating, I'm seeing tricks or lines or things that I never remembered that I did, and I'm like, oh, I did. Oh, that's cool. Wow, and I didn't really think I was there, but I guess I was there. That's cool.
Right.
And that's been kind of interesting. And then there's two. This is like a fucking huge.
That's interesting. Keep going. Keep going.
There's a huge break in my life where it's shortly after the tapes that I'm looking at now.
Right.
I had that back surgery that I had, where I just didn't do shit for a year and a half, and like it totally changed my life.
Slow change, yeah.
And I think there's something going on in that era where I can look at myself before that and say, oh yeah, I wasn't gnarly like dirt bike rider, Travis Pastrana level, whatever, but I wasn't really afraid of that much. And I think that my injury and the things associated with that really were the thing that woke up the fear that was inside me. And since
Mm-hmm.
then, not everything has really felt the same. Even
Yeah.
when I'm doing good, like my confidence level has not been as high. So
Yeah.
watching these clips is kind of surprising me. And I wrote myself a note last
Mm-hmm.
night because I was like, wow, I'm surprised at all this stuff. And I wrote a note on a little yellow paper with lines and it says, Chris, you can still surprise yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Chris. And I signed it as myself, just kind of
Totally.
promoting that, hey, like, you don't have to be where you have been for the past, even if it's been 20 years.
Sure.
Like, there's still some magic to unlock and there's still somewhere to go
Probably
forward.
kind of a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Not even probably. There is a lot.
Yeah. But I think looking backwards has helped me realize that and kind of face what is possible.
Right.
Like, if that was possible then, like, think of what's possible now.
Totally.
You know, sure, there's some magic to youth where you're just kind of like a Gumby, you know, not that much
Sure. Like, yeah, the ability to get hurt and bounce
physically
back quickly
resilient. Yeah.
is not the same, but I think we're more resilient still.
I'm
Like, our brains are telling us that we're less resilient than we actually are.
more resilient than I give myself credit for
Absolutely.
sure. And then objectively, it's like I am stronger. I am
Yeah,
in
100%.
better shape. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
Healthier but older.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've just been kind of digging around in
Mhm.
that zone, and maybe that's part of the impetus for those old movies. It's like, it's almost like that brain reset to where it's like, cool, like, fuck what's going on right now. Not completely,
No,
but it's like
yeah, no.
there's
I
a
feel you.
story that you can tell yourself that you tell yourself for so long that you try to accept it. So
Mhm.
I'm just kind of in the midst of this
Mhm.
personal reset, I guess.
Bro. You should read Pema when things fall apart, because you're not even falling apart, but the things you're talking about and how she addresses mindsets and how we hold on to the world and things. And yeah, I mean, I'm writing a bunch of shit in my journal that is pretty real, and story of my life is pretty real right now, and I'm not going to be sharing it on this podcast yet, but I will at some point. It's been interesting to learn perspectives and to hear some deep truths. I mean, and she's teaching from a Buddhist perspective, which is not, that's not the point though. This is what's interesting to me. It's like I'm reading through the Buddhist perspective of stuff, and so many of those perspectives are the same perspectives written differently as biblical perspectives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? These are like life things that are written in different humans in different cultures are trying to articulate a lot of the same shit.
Sure.
And so the part that I'm loving about this book is a lot of what you're talking about, which is taking how you felt and what you believe and recognizing the difference between like the forever flux of life. And there are things that we're always going to be good at. There's things that we're never going to be good at. And all of this in between, we create stories and we
Yeah.
create mindsets and we create expectations. And the more of those we create, the more closed off we are to potential. And the more of the, I mean, and I'm super paraphrasing a book of a lot of different chapters specified on different things. But the more that we do all of that, the less we actually are able to reflect on how we react in moments. And once we start seeing how we react in moments, we can start just saying, okay, this is a reaction or a feeling. This is a truth, but it's not also everything. And it's that, I'm not her, so I'm not going to explain it as well. And that's my
Right.
deal. But that has been really powerful because it'll help you learn about yourself. So say you're going through whatever it is and you're in big feelings, little feelings, whatever happens, you go like, your first thing is to just notice what you do. So do you like grab this because you felt uncomfortable? Do you? And it's not even to judge it. It's just like, just notice what you do. And when you start noticing what you do, you start getting out of the story you're creating. And then slowly but surely over time, and part of it's the meditation aspect, part of it is that is a meditation of noticing, that over time you start going, like there's more space versus more reaction. And then the more space that you have, the more you can realize that like everybody's going through a shit ton of stuff. You're never alone as you think you are, et cetera, et cetera. And you can kind of create a healthier place to be less reactive, but also to hold more compassion and gratitude, all in the context of this book when everything is literally falling apart, and being able to create an understanding that everything is always falling apart, but it's also always joy. And then that will never go away because you can't have one without the other. And then you start to like expand, which allows you to connect, which allows you to soften, which allows you to be a better person. And none of it is revolving around being a better person. It's just about seeing clearly what is. And that is pretty insane. That's a roundabout way of talking about the book, even though there's very specific subject matter and teachings of Sanskrit language and stuff that I'll never be able to, say well, like even the name Pema, Chödrön. I've said it, Chödrön. I might not even be saying it correctly, but everybody who knows when they hear that. They're like, oh, that's a good book. So Julia's read it. I've asked her about it. My therapist has read it like 3 times. She said it's
nice.
And I didn't know. I just grabbed it along with the Frankel book, Yes to Life. And I was like, let's go.
Here we go.
Here we go, dude, on the journey.
We're going in.
Yeah, but it allowed me to realize that like I have some hyper codependency to the world due to my worldly early traumas and things. And so I'm like, okay, I realized that I need to get really good at not modeling or waiting to learn about people to be myself so that I don't, and there's 2 times of that. Like my Enneagram style is a chameleon-esque where I can like find the through line to connect. I need to be able to like be me and do that, and not just do that to allow myself into other people's lives.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I struggle with that too, the chameleon aspect, because it is super powerful, and I think you have it probably more than me, but I have the ability to turn it on and off a little bit more, but it is very easy when you are like that to lose yourself in the group. Meanwhile, everyone thinks that you're just the most fun person ever, because they're like, wow, check out Jared. He's vibing with us right now. Like he fits in
basically
perfect.
Does whatever we want.
He's like super down.
He knows exactly how he would do it for us.
Dude, this guy's our guy right now. And I think tempering that is good, because some of that is useful. You need to have some of that to be able to connect with other people. Right. Yeah.
It's absolutely a gift.
As long as it doesn't take over and then you lose your whole sense of identity because of it.
Like if you don't ever do what you love because you want to be around people who do stuff that you don't love as much, that's the problem, right?
Hard.
Yeah. And that's where, you're talking about this time where your back kind of made you leave this thing for a while, and then maybe it sounds like, based on our conversations, that coffee also helped you feel like you needed to stop skateboarding to do coffee because you were killing it. And same kind of thing with me and weird stuff like basketball and some art stuff and music stuff, pretty much a lot of stuff, because I was like, I have to survive and coffee is the way, and I need people, and they don't like this person, which is not true, but that's what I told myself. So be all this stuff.
Yeah, my story was less about the I want people to like me. That's, that's a factor for sure. But it's weird when you've never been popular or cool, and when you start to get glimpses of people appreciating you for, maybe a skill that you have or something that you're doing well, like you really, at least for me, I really wanted to cash in on that,
Sure.
And when I couldn't, but interesting, doubling back to, when things fall apart, even though I haven't read the book, where everything's always in this eternal flux, and there is, suffering and good the whole time of your existence. I never would have, if I didn't hurt myself, probably never would have worked in the coffee industry at all. Right. It wasn't even close to being on my radar. Like, that was when I first got my first cafe job, which was just kind of like a concession where it's like, fuck, I got to work. I'm not going to work. I don't want to be anywhere close to skateboarding because that shit hurt me. Yeah. Like I'm hurt and I can't participate and fuck that. So like now I'm in coffee. Okay, fine, whatever. You know, end up falling in love with it. And it's this whole thing. But yeah, when you start to have that success, for me, I think it was close to after we met, when we did our first competition separately but together. It was, people were just like, oh, I watched you and you did really good.
And that feels good.
I'm like, oh, wow, maybe I could go into this. Maybe I could go, and maybe because I'm doing good in this thing, I'm going to ignore every other aspect of my life. Like everything else is just going to be on hold because I have this one thing that I can cash in on that people are appreciating me for. I'm not super familiar with that experience, so let's fucking go.
Right.
And it was to my detriment,
Right.
even though it paid off, which is weird.
Well, but that's exactly the point. It's both and are happening, and that's what's so hard for some of us. Like for me, it's like same thing. I got popular because I got good at sports, and then I was goofy. So, but really, at actual truth of it, underneath it all is that I was really gracious and nice to everybody, and that's really what it was. But that's not what I was grabbing.
Right.
I was grabbing you're performing really well, and you're funny. And so that's why people like you. And then to be wanted to be loved, right, in relationships and stuff, whoever this person was that I really wanted to be in a relationship, I was like, whatever they need to like me, I need to figure out how to be. And that was like my relationships moving pretty much my entire life. And so learning the difference between kind of, I guess what we're trying to say to ourselves too is like, until you can like really choose to accept who you are and be who you are, and see the difference between am I acting in accordance with who I am and doing and connecting versus am I only trying to connect because I see what could be and I want it so bad. Because that's the thing is when you you talk about it, whatever, this book in the world too, we talk about it all the time. If you try that and you keep doing that, essentially you're burning your candle out. And at some point, which one of the best things in the world that I read in this book recently is it's like, if you don't take care of whatever all that stuff is with you, you're going to keep manifesting it. That's not the right word. It's going to show up in every human being, in everything that you do in the future until you learn your lesson.
Yeah.
And that part is a very serious thing to notice. And that's not like that shouldn't even be a threat. It's an opportunity to recognize that, yeah, you and we were becoming successful and unbalanced. Maybe this is the best way to say it.
Yeah, I think for me, when I look back on it, the ship off course analogy is super relevant to where, you know, you have some sort of center line, things that are undeniably you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say that, you know,
it's true.
People change all the time, but there is there is a
you're
core.
a through line.
You know, you have a core, and I'd be like, oh, 5 degrees off course. 5 degrees off course.
Right.
Little bits at a time. You know,
Sure.
never at any one time did I do anything that I felt was completely, you know, off brand. You said that earlier about that person, you know, or I'm like, oh, but at some point, if you've veered far enough off course for enough time, you can have this weird vibe where you're kind of walking around all the time, not really recognizing who you are or not feeling fulfilled in a way that's healthy. You know, there's some sort of hunger that I think is healthy where you know you're never going to be 100% fulfilled all the time. That's okay.
No, I don't even know if it's possible.
So, but yeah, and I was just so off course. But I wish I would have been able to be more balanced. And I think looking back on it, my personality is so aggressive that it's like everything or nothing, everything or nothing, everything or nothing. So I'm in coffee, I'm like everything, everything. And that giving everything, I saw my success was a direct result of me giving everything.
Sure.
And that's how I saw it at the time. And that's probably, actually 100% that's not true. There's other factors that are mixed in with that. Sure, I have a good work ethic, but I don't think to have a good work ethic you need to give everything. You know, I could have peeled that back from 100 to 0 to 75-25 or 60-40 and probably still had really good success.
Right.
You know, and
maybe better mental energy, but you wouldn't have known that at the time.
I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, or emotional
I had
energy.
no idea. But looking back on it now, but it's good to recognize that because I still have that mentality.
Absolutely.
Or it's easy for me to fall into that trap of I'm starting this new thing. I got to go 100. You know, and some of these projects that are coming up, I'm like, it's got to be everything. And if it's not everything, it's nothing. If I don't fucking hit it 100%, I'm just a total failure, and it's a burn of the opportunity. And I talked about that with our therapist, Dennis.
Old Den,
because he was, you know, he did all the, you know, all the things that I know I'm doing. He's like, yeah, it sounds like you're really, I was like, we have this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 1 in a million. I'm never going to get this chance again. It sounds like you're really mind reading a lot. He's like, you don't really know what's going to happen. You don't know. This could be the beginning of a million other opportunities. This doesn't.
It's exactly in the book too.
It came out of nowhere. So, before you're thinking it wasn't even possible, but, to me, it looks like it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it is, why isn't any of these other things?
Right.
Why couldn't this be paving the way to more and bigger?
Yeah.
And, among other things, that's just like a tiny snippet of the
Totally.
conversation. I'm like, dude, like logically, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Feelings-wise, I'm not getting there, but I understand what you're saying.
I'm not quite there, but logically, yes.
Yeah.
Your shit is on lockdown.
Yeah. Mind reading and future telling is like, I mean, we do it out of protection of self, but at the same time, it's so, like, that's again another huge teaching in the book is leave space to see, and also like you're pre-suffering or pre-fantasizing about what will be, and both of those things are going to leave. Yeah, absolutely, and they're both going to leave room for disappointment that's unnecessary, and so that's just, it's not, dude, call it easy. Fuck no. Hell no. That's like, it's against most of what the human is conditioned to do. And at the same time, that's kind of the practice that's being taught is you're going to put your feelings and your history into whatever is about to happen next. And it's never happened before. So it's not going to most likely happen 60% minimum how you think it's going to happen, if not more, And so we're smart. And we're intuitive, and we are right a lot of the time, and I think that's some of our success is being good learners. But totally, like, usually what feels like could be the last chance is more likely to be the beginning of a first chance, and that's so hard when it doesn't feel that way at all. It's kind of fucked up.
It is. It is really, really tricky, and I think we talk about the gray area a lot, and it's important to acknowledge the gray area because most things aren't black and white. Pretty much nothing is black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Even saying nothing is black and white is a black and white statement. I get it.
Watch out, everybody.
Don't fucking write me, okay?
Don't
I know what's going on
Don't
over
at
here.
us. We're just trying to find our way.
But I think there's some sort of balance between acknowledging if you get an opportunity. So let's say we got this opportunity, and
Sure.
I'm incredibly
Means
stressed
a
out
lot.
about it. I'm like, and someone else comes to you and it's like, there's probably a reason that you got that opportunity, right? I mean, that opportunity could have been given to anybody. There's millions of people on the planet
Sure.
that would fit the bill for this, but you were chosen because somebody sees something in you. And being able to acknowledge that and be like, wow, I must be doing something well that's resonating with people to be noticed like this or to be chosen for whatever it is in your life.
Yeah.
And like balancing that with not overly gassing yourself up to where you're like, I'm the fucking shit, dude. I can't do any wrong. Having that healthy check for yourself to not be like, yeah, dude, we're fucking doing this and we're doing that, and it's
Forget about it, cuh.
Forget about it, cuh.
That's what you do.
Too fast.
It's kind of weird though, because we talk about getting lost in. I mean, I don't think you're wrong either in that we gave 100% to this thing, and I mean, maybe like the younger you are, the harder it is to grasp this stuff. And I really hate that. And I don't believe that it's true, but I do know for a fact that it's easier for me the older I get to grasp more things, to have more perspectives.
I don't think that's weird at all.
It's not weird.
Dude.
It's just as angering because it's like you want to be able, you know what I'm saying? It's like how many times, if they were right or wrong, and hopefully they were right a fair amount, have our parents or older people in the world told all of these young people stuff, and sometimes it's stupid shit that's too generational to make there's not a correlation. It's apples and oranges, and some of it is just genuine, like this is actually just like a truth in the world. And how many times did we not take it because we knew better? And I'm just thinking about that, and then I'm thinking about that in the context of like we were putting in our quote unquote 10,000 hours in becoming professionals, and I understand the scarcity mindset that we've had, at least that I had, maybe you had or didn't, of like, this is my opportunity to make something of myself when I don't see any other opportunity to make something of myself. So I got to give it 100% for the long run. And, my mindset was always like, do it hard now so I can have all the space then. And we talk about it all the time. It's just finding that appropriate balance. So I'm kind of more just putting that paradox on the table of we were also becoming professionals at a craft, and we were doing it maybe at a more rapid pace than other people did, question mark, or some people did. I don't know. I guess I'm getting into a thought loop, but at the end of the day,
I don't
I
know.
get what we were doing, right? It was like we need to make a life for ourselves in some capacity, and this is a way that I can see clearly how to do it. And so there's,
Maybe it's not right, wrong.
I guess that's the problem,
better,
right?
worse, or the other. Maybe it just is
Right.
what it is.
I think that's what I'm trying to say. It is what it is.
I was listening to, I think her name is Elizabeth Gilbert. She's a writer. A lot of good interviews. She was talking about her professional career and was remarking when people go up to her and say, "Man, I really envy you. You're just a hero of mine. You've got it all together. How do you do it? You're doing so well." And she admittedly, it's like, yeah, my career is going really well right now. What people don't see is I am fucking terrible at managing my personal relationships. I'm she lists out these 6 things that are not really going well, and there's one aspect that's going well, and I totally relate to that because, yeah, for a long time and a big stretch, coffee was going really well, and
Right.
it still is. But I made friends along the way, but I wouldn't say I'm like really great at the personal relationships during that time. I wasn't super thoughtful with other people or as thoughtful as I could have been. I wasn't taking time to just kind of think about even me, what I wanted. I was disconnected from my family.
Right.
I was divorced, like the whole fucking shit. It's like, and that's not my fault or anybody else's fault, but all of these things are manifested out of really only paying attention to one thing in one dimension. And yeah, it paid off in a big way.
Sure.
We are where we are now, and I'm really proud of it. And
and we're still kind of just getting started.
And we're just still kind of getting started. So it's working. And we talk about with people on our leadership team, the idea of sprints. And I think being able to sprint is important because sometimes things come along that are big opportunities that do require a lot of attention.
Right.
And I don't think anybody should work, 50, 60-hour weeks for the long play. But if there's something that's going to go down and you can crank it out and then back off after you're done, that shit pays off. And that's part of being, we see that as part of being a business owner.
Yeah,
if you're setting up a business, it's not like you're going to say, "Oh, cool, we have this thing that we want to bring into the world, but 40-hour work week only."
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to work over. It's like,
I'm going to stop thinking about this progression
because
dude,
we work every day
pretty much
for ridiculous hours every day, and we build the thing, and then we get to peel off.
Yeah.
But the career in coffee prior was a 10-year sprint.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Whack. It was just too long.
It's too long.
And I
Not
didn't
enough
recognize
breaks.
until too late. Yeah.
But we've learned a little bit how to try to build in breaks for the people that work with us, and they're taking them more than we took them, absolutely, without a doubt, for sure. Like, I think most of the people in our company have taken at least 10 days off in a row who are in leadership at this point. Some of them have taken the full 2 weeks, some have taken more, and that was not on the table. Like, taking 2 weeks was like a "can I please for my honeymoon" situation. 2.5 weeks when I please for my honeymoon. Yes, but we're not going to like pay you. So hopefully you have enough, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, savings for that. But yeah, you can take those.
Thanks for listening, y'all. This podcast is an extension of our mission to inspire connection by creating memorable experiences. If you want to get more acquainted with what we do, you can go on over to catandcloud.com. There you'll find a little bit of everything. If you want coffee, we got coffee there. If you want to be directed to some other magic media, basically it's your hub for all things Cat and Cloud. If you want to dive in on a deeper level, we do have a Patreon. It's $5 a month, about the price of a latte each month. You get a peek behind the scenes of what we do here, unpacking some of the ideas that we talk about during this podcast, rants and raves, Q&As, Jared and I just talking shit together. Biased opinion, yes, but I think it's a lot of fun. So thanks for listening. Go out and inspire someone to do something amazing. Bye.